In Unit 1, we focused on rhythm. Unit 2 focuses on pitch. The pitch of a note is determined by the frequency of its vibrations. Faster vibrations produce higher pitches, and slower vibrations produce lower pitches. We often describe a note as high or low, referring to how we perceive the pitch. Pitches are notated on a staff. A staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. When counting lines and spaces, we start at the bottom, calling the bottom line 1 and the top line 5, as shown to the left of this staff. Similarly, we call the bottom space 1 and the top space 4, as shown to the right of this staff. Notes are written on the staff to tell us which pitch to sing. The note takes its name from the line or space on which it is written. There are only 7 notes in the musical alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you notice on the keyboard on this screen, those are the only 7 letters you see: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I like to joke that the musical alphabet song goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 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 A, B, C, D, E, F, G. After G, we start over again with A. If you notice, each G on the keyboard on the screen, if you move one note to the right, it starts over with A. If I play notes starting on C and going up to the next C, again that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I could keep going. You may notice that from one C to the next C is what we call an octave away. C, C, C. This occurs because the frequencies are vibrating twice as fast as each octave we ascend. If you think of a piano keyboard with 88 keys, it is obvious that all the possible pitches cannot be shown by a single staff with 5 lines and 4 spaces. For this reason, there are several clefs that are used to differentiate higher and lower pitches. The most common clefs are the treble clef and the bass clef. Higher voices, such as sopranos and altos, read music in the treble clef. Basses read music in the bass clef. Depending on the ensemble, tenors may be asked to read music in the treble clef or the bass clef. This semester, we will be focusing on treble clef only. There is an old-fashioned mnemonic device for remembering the names of the lines on the treble clef. If it is on a line, every good boy does fine. Starting with the bottom line and using the initial letter of that sentence, we get E, G, B, D, F, as shown to the left of the clef. The mnemonic device for names of the treble clef spaces is, if it is on a space, it spells face. Again, starting from the bottom and working our way up, the bottom space is F, the second space is A, the third space is C, and the fourth space is E, as labeled to the right of the treble clef. Here you can see all the lines and spaces labeled. If a note is on the bottom line, it is E. If a note is on the bottom space, it is F, and so on. Moving from one pitch to the next in the musical alphabet is called stepwise motion. If you start on a line note and move one step up or down, you will be on a space note. For example, moving from E up to F means you will move from a note with a line going through the center of the note head up to a space note, where there is no line in the middle of the note head. If you start at the E at the bottom of the staff. Conversely, if you start at the E near the top of the staff on the top space, if you move from E to F, stepwise you'll be moving from a space note to a line note. Listen to the notes shown here as they move up by step from line to space to line to space. Notice again there are two places for the notes E and F on the treble clef. The lower E on a line sounds like this, while the higher E on the top space sounds up the octave like this. Here are the lower and higher Fs shown on the treble clef. Often we sing notes that are higher or lower than the staff allows, so we use ledger lines to extend the staff. Listen to the notes as they descend by stepwise motion from E down to A. Next, listen to how the notes sound from F on the top line ascending by step up to C above the staff. It's time to practice what we've learned. Let's practice determining the names of these notes on the treble clef. First thing is to see whether the note is on a line or a space. This first note is a line note. You can tell because the line goes through the center of the note head. This next note is a space note. The note head is between the lines. There is no line that goes through the center of this note head, thus it is a space note. This third note is a line note. The line goes right through the middle of the circular note head. That's how we determine that it's a line note. The second step, after you've figured out if it's a line or a space note, is to remember your mnemonic device. If it is on a line, every good boy does fine. If it's on a space, it spells face. So this first note is on a line. It's on the bottom line. So it's E for every. The next note is on a space. If it's on a space, it spells face. The bottom space is F. The next space is A, because that's the second letter in the word face. Moving on, the third note is on a line. It's on the top line. If it's on a line, every good boy does fine. So this note is F. The next note we see is a space note. If it's on a space, it spells face. F, A, C is the third space. So this note is C. The next notes are beyond the staff, either below it or above it. So note number 5 here is on the space below the bottom line. So if the bottom line is E, The space below that, one letter backwards in the musical alphabet, is D. The next note is one step lower than D. Notice we go from a space here to a line note, to a ledger line. So one step backwards in the musical alphabet brings us to C. This is middle C. The next note is two ledger lines below the staff. If the bottom line is E, the space below that is D, the line below that is C, the ledger line. The space below that would be B, and this ledger line that is two lines below the staff then is A, going backwards in the musical alphabet. Now we move to notes that are above the staff. The top line of the staff is F. Every good boy does fine. Well, this is on the space above the top line. So one note higher than F in the musical alphabet is G. The second to the last note is on a ledger line above the staff. So again, we figure out what is the top line of the staff and we go from there. Every good boy does fine is the top line. If this was on the space above that, it would be one letter beyond F, which is G. This is on the line above that space, the ledger line for A. This last note is two ledger lines above the staff. So again, we determine what the top line is and move up the alphabet from there. If it's on a line, every good boy does fine. F is the top line. The space above F is G. The line above that is A. The space above that is B. And the ledger line above that is C. This is how these notes would sound if played on an oboe. Thank you for watching Music Theory Unit 2.